Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Create Your Own Reality podcast, where we share stories and practical tips to help you level up your mindset, reconnect with your purpose, and boost your confidence. If this is your first time listening to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're able to take something from this episode to turn your day from good to great. Let's get into it. Anything is possible when you're writing your own story. I think it's so easy for people to get overwhelmed when they're stepping into a new venture. The simplest way to look at it is one door closes and another door opens. However, I don't really think it's ever as simple as that. For example, with everything that I'm experiencing right now, being let go from my part-time job, still finishing up my full Pilates instructor certification. Thankfully, I've been able to work as an apprentice instructor since January. However, since losing that part-time job, I've been really trying to finish up my full certification. So of course, I can start to make a little bit more money with that. With all of that being said, I am also really trying to step into a new version of my business, which of course includes polishing up and rebranding this podcast as well. That is still very much in the works. I don't have a specific date of when that's going to happen yet, but within the next few months for sure. But going back to my initial thought, just all of that in itself is a little chaotic, right? So we really have to take things one step at a time. Now, of course, as I already mentioned, anything is possible, right? And I think it's so important not to forget that. However, I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed when you are thinking about the fact that anything is possible, right? Because I know for myself, that can definitely be overwhelming for me for sure. And I just really want to kind of go through some steps for myself that I've been working on while I'm in this little in-between process of really solidifying how I want to move forward in my own business and with this podcast as well. And just in terms of personal life too. Because I think those two things really do align with each other. They really are one and the same, especially when you're building a business that involves a personal brand, because of course you are your personal brand. And yeah, let's just jump right into it. One thing that I have really been trying to pay a lot of attention to is identifying those 3 to 5 tasks that I can include in my week that will actually move me towards my goal. One of the big things that can definitely get me overwhelmed is just working on a lot of these small tasks that don't really make a huge difference, but seem pretty important. I'm sure you've experienced this as well, whether that be if you're in a job search, adding little things to your resume, updating your cover letter with really specific things, or whether you're also trying to build a business and you're trying to identify those really important things as well. I think making a to-do list can certainly be helpful. However, if you're just writing a super long list of little tasks that have to get done, that is where that overwhelm comes in. And I can say that for certain because I do have one of those lists that has been sitting on my desk. I have gotten a couple of those things done. Most of the other things correlate into a single task, but they're all just little subtasks under that big one, if that makes sense. So for example, most of it is just fixing or adding certain pages to my website. However, I'm going to have to redo my entire website to begin with, so I think that is the bigger task that I really have to look at instead of thinking about all the micro tasks. Of course, redoing a website is definitely a more taxing endeavor. It's not something you can really do in a day. Um, of course, if you already have everything set up and know exactly how you want it to look, it probably could be done in a day. However, a lot of things I'm still trying to figure out in terms of what I want to include, the layouts I want to have, making a new logo, new branding, etc., etc. So it's definitely a task that's going to take me a couple weeks for sure. But again, going back to identifying those 3 to 5 tasks, you want them to be needle moving tasks. These are things that will move you forward in any endeavor that you're working at or that you're working towards in this very moment. So I really want you to just take a couple minutes on a Sunday, review your past week, really look at anything that you maybe weren't able to get done and put that put those things that you weren't able to get done in a list. Once you've made that list of tasks that you weren't able to accomplish last week, I want you to then create another list, prioritizing those tasks from most important to least important. Once you've categorized all of those tasks in terms of the things that are most important to least important, it's simple. Figure out when those tasks need to get done. Maybe if some of them have deadlines, of course, that will put them at the top of the list for more important. Select those first 3 to 5 items on that list and put them into your schedule for the week. Of course, again, if some of those have deadlines that might be in the middle of the week, those want to be Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. If the tasks are important but don't really have a deadline, maybe they need to be put in a different spot, right? I think when it comes to prioritizing the tasks from most important to least important, any task that has a deadline, of course, should be put at the top. And I'm sure you know that as well, especially if you're in a more traditional 9 to 5, you're going to need those tasks to get done. So using your own discernment, identifying those top 3 to 5 tasks and placing them in your schedule for the week. Now, when it comes to putting them in your schedule, I'm sure some of you may have different ways that you go about planning your week. However, I think it can be really useful and really important to time block those tasks out. Even with that being said, I know there's still a couple different methods that you can use in order to do that. You can just do a huge, like 2 hour time block, more or less, depending on, of course, how long you think that task is going to take you. Or you can do something more along the lines of the Pomodoro method, splitting that task up throughout the day or even throughout the week, again, depending on how long it might take you. You can do 25-minute block of working on that task, take a little bit of a break, and then even just get back to that same task for another 25 minutes, take a small little break. That part is really up to your own sense of self. You know yourself best, you know how you work the best. So figuring out those time blocks for what works for you. But I think that is really the most important thing that I want to share this week. Again, even for myself alone, I know I mentioned this before, I can be a little scatterbrained just in terms of all the things that I want to do, the tasks that I'm taking on, the things that I'm learning. It can all just get really intertwined and really jumbled in terms of, oh, I want to work on this today. Oh, I want to work on that today. Oh, I really, really want to focus on this today. And sometimes I don't even think about deadlines of things as well. And I know for myself, my closest deadline that I have to hit is getting my certification done, my full instructor certification done. And I really want to get that done by the end of the month, even the first week in July, which is extremely possible. I just really need to take those action steps to get that done and be able to finally check that goal off of my list. And I don't know, I think another thing too, like fear might be holding you back, especially if it's a bigger goal that you're trying to accomplish. I know I'm experiencing a little bit of that myself as well, which in my brain has like been very conflicting because I have already been teaching for the past 6 months. I just haven't had that full certification, right? And maybe I'm just intimidated by the fact that I have to do, 2 exams to really get this done. And even though I know all the information, I think sometimes taking an actual test can just be really overwhelming, it can stress you out. And, having that pressure on you can definitely make your mind go a little blank. But I really just need to push past that, trust in myself, and know that I am capable of getting that done. And I think you need to feel that same way with your own tasks, with your own goals, especially when it comes to breaking things down in your own week, right? Because you can take the same idea, put it on a larger scale, schedule things out within your month, within a quarter, or within your entire year. So I think that framework is really useful in those couple different ways. I'm sorry this was a little bit rambly. That is just really how my brain is working today, especially. But I hope this was useful for you to help set up your week, set yourself up for success, really get those most important tasks done. So just to recap, put it in a couple sentences here. Review your past week. Look at the tasks that you weren't able to get done. Write all of those tasks down in a single list. Once you have that list, we're going to take all of those tasks, create a new list, and that list will be those same tasks ranked from most important to least important. Most important ones might include a deadline, so those need to definitely get done first. Next, look at your week, what your current schedule looks like, where you have free time, and then pick 3 to 5 of those tasks and schedule those tasks into your week. I really encourage you to try this out for the next week, see how much that makes a difference for you. Would love to hear your feedback on that matter. If you do decide to try it out, definitely let me know in the comments. I, again, would just love to hear how that worked out for you. But thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked this episode, please be sure to leave a review and share it with a friend. Comment down below to share your takeaways with others and join the email list from the link in the show notes. Until next time, stay motivated, be inspired, and don't forget to encourage others.